foreign wisdom becoming some kind of a local lord. So everything's in the west of the archipelago Pacific, one grave in the Philippines. So what we know at this stage is that we're getting Islam in the western part of the archipelago, also Brunei, of course, in the 15th century, but the evidence is very, very patchy. Then along comes an extremely important European named Tomé Pires. Now Pires was a Portuguese apothecary, a drug maker, a drug specialist, a medical specialist. And he was actually in Southeast Asia between 1512 and 1515. And there are actually some problems. There's an edition of his work called the Summa Orientalis, but there's a problem with the edition. Not all of the contents are accurately edited. So I'm told there has been a more authoritative edition done in Portugal, not yet available in English translation, so we all wait there. Because Tomé Pires is remarkably informative. We now begin to get a much fuller picture. He stayed in Malacca most of the time, but he actually visited Java, he was in Sumatra. He tells us, for example, that on Sumatra, most of the kings, he says, are Moors, his term, of course, for Muslims, from here down the coast. Around the southern tip of Sumatra and up the coast, they are non-Muslims. So this is early 16th century. He says that the trade there, the international trade, he mentions Bengalis, Turks, Arabs, Persians, Gujaratis, Malays, Javanese, Siamese, all trading in those Islamic trading ports on the coast. And he talks about the process of conversion, which is quite what he would have been told when he visited there. He was told that merchants that dominated Pasai, the north coast, and that they became so powerful that they established a Moorish king from Bengal. So he claims that Bengali was established as the king there, but he said they've been unable to convert the people of the interior. So no heathen among them is held in any esteem unless he is a merchant. So it's a trade having priority over religion, but there's a process here in which he claims that the traders overthrew the local lord and established the king. He then comes to Java. He visited here. West Java in this period, Sunda and so forth, was still non-Muslim. The interior kingdom, which would be the rump of the kingdom of Majapahit, still Hindu, but Muslim kingdoms now along the north coast, he said, as far as Surabaya. And he says something very interesting about the conversion process. He says, at this time there are many merchants along the coast, Parsis, Arabs, Gujaratis, Bengalis, Malays, other nationalities. They traded, they became rich. So rich, he said, that their sons were already Javanese. There's a process here, we talk about Islamization, there's also a process here of Javanization. We're getting religious identity created in two ways. Muslims are Javanese, and Javanese are Muslims. In some places, he says, the Javanese lords turned Muhammad. He's turned, of course. In some places, they killed the Javanese lords and made themselves lords, and they are masters of the seacoast. And then he talks about the way they emulate the style of the court. He says, what's it, Orang Jawa here? Orang Jawa? Yeah. He says, being brought up amongst the bragging Javanese, he says, they brag all the time. The bragging Javanese, and still more because of the riches they have inherited, they have made themselves important in Javanese nobility. So let's say they're aspiring to the style of the court, emulating the court, and the Muslims emulating the Hindu court. He also says about the fact that there are, he describes the way in which there are still large numbers of Hindu ascetics, topo, they're called Hindu ascetics, traveling around Java. He said there are about 50,000 of these in Java. There are 3 or 4 orders. Some do not eat rice or drink wine. They're all virgins. They are women. And these women are also, these men are also worshipped by the Moors. And they believe in them greatly. They give them alms. They rejoice when such men come to their houses. I have seen 10 or 12 of these in Java. So, very much a cultural transitional style. Here are these Muslims, foreign ancestry, who become Javanese, and pay great respect to the Hindu ascetics, the topo, still traveling around Java. Now, there are contrasting sources. So Tomé Pires is about assimilation. There are other sources. There is a source which edited by a great scholar named Dravis, but which comes from some place in Java in the midst of this transition from Hinduism to Islam. Probably don't know where and when it was written, because the transition from Hinduism to Islam, say in the east, the very east of Java, around Banyuwangi, took place in the 1770s. So it's late in the late 18th century, this could be such a text. But that text, unlike the assimilation picture of Hitesh, draws a picture of very firm boundaries. The text says that you have to decide whether you follow what the text calls Gomu Chobo or Gomu Salam, the Javanese religion or the Islamic religion. It says, for example, that you must dislike infidels or their Java enemies. You must not, it says that if you have a conflict, you must never go to a Hindu judge. You must go to a Muslim judge. So there's still, wherever this was,